Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again for Game 2 of the quarterfinals of the 2017 World Scrabble Championship. This time around, we're going to be watching the match between Elie Dangoor and Shin. Austin is going to be going first in this game, and in the best of 3 series between the two players, currently leads Elie 1-0. Austin's on a bit of a streak at the moment. He's had a number of very, very good wins. So let's see if he can carry this through in this quarter-final. Just a reminder, if Austin wins this one, he will go through to the semi-final. And we're off.
Yeah, Austin, his slogan is famously, "The scoring never stops."
Yeah, and it's just about to start.
And wow. The scoring made a brief stop between rounds and then started again. So Jason, what did you have for breakfast?
Well, I had a croissant, but
yeah, unsurprisingly, Sarni's instant.
Yes, 66. And does Elie do?
And we're off to the races.
No, we noticed that Ellie's tiles are not all upright. What do you think about that?
It's it's interesting because we noticed in the World Junior Championships before this that a lot of the younger players actually do that, and Matthew O'Connor, the World Junior Champion for this year, is a notable example. His tiles are always upside down, sideways, every which way.
Okay, now Elie has put his tiles right side up. So
and Matthew at least says that he just looks at the tiles and then scrambles them in his head, and it doesn't matter which direction they're facing. Adam Logan is another player who famously his tiles will be upside down, sideways, any orientation on the rack, and it takes a special kind of mind to be able to deal with that. I'm always very meticulous about having my tiles all right side up, all in alphagram order, and I rarely shuffle them.
Absolutely. Well, the straightforward play here from Elie clearly cleans the rack out. I mean, other option would be Avrugas, but ER is a better keep than E.
Yep.
Interesting suggestion from Quackle of Gao at K7, keeping VARE. But there's nothing wrong with Guavas.
Yeah, AERV seems to have does seem to have synergy, and if you do hit a bingo with that, containing the V, it'll score a bit more. But yeah, Guavas is the normal play.
So, looks like there's going to be a brief pause in the scoring, or this is not going to be as much as the previous play.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of those almost racks. I mean, actually, the AEIML combines so well with the N, R, and S that are on the board. I mean, you'd always be thinking about dinking off a couple of tiles, just the OE, which is actually something that Crackle is rating relatively highly at the moment at an L4 for 10 points. But I'm never really comfortable with those kinds of plays because you feel like you're committing everything.
And there are plenty of times where you can then just fall into a sink where you're just doing that repeatedly and not scoring, and all of a sudden
it's a high risk, high reward kind of proposition. You're giving up a lot of points for the hope to hit a bingo, but if you miss one of those higher stakes bets, say, then you're in a worse position.
Austin's opting for email at G7, which well, it's up there. I mean, it's one of the highest scores available. OE, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I wonder if there's Austin's thinking there's value in reducing the volatility early, trying to shape the board early, with also a bingo lead already.
In my own experience playing Elie, he actually does shut the board quite a bit. I don't know if I've only got a sample size of 2 games. I won them both. Anyway, but I've noticed that there was a tendency for him to try to block the board, and so Austin doing that, I think I think that in a sense, if Elie's going to play along with that at this point when he's behind, that's going to play into his hands. But Of course, it did just give a
It's-
QIN for.
It's very early to start sacrificing things to shape the board. But if you do look at the shape of the board, even after these 4 plays, it's very much building up towards the upper right hand quadrant, and it's a play of something like email is starting to make it difficult to develop the bottom of the board, right? You have that ES on the
Yes.
side, and it needs to hook the T
Yep.
underneath if you're going to do anything. You can play remail and something in the F column to develop the upper left, but that is like the only sort of play that's going to do that.
Or-
and the bottom right is just completely inaccessible right now. So rather than something that sort of plays through Sarnies and develops the bottom of the board, email really restricts things to the top. And the first half of this game is going to be kind of really awkward as far as finding places to play things.
I was just going to add that perhaps the left portion of the board can be developed by a bonus off of ES.
Yeah, possibly.
But also, depending on that bonus, that will open up maybe potential 9 timers, triple lines.
Yeah, if you do hit something on row 6 into ES, then it's gonna open the 9 timer. You could also start it at B6 and an ascending bingo will fit there, making small. But yeah,
I think actually, I mean, Austin is the stronger of the 2 players, certainly from a word power point of view and probably a tactical point of view. I think it's to his disadvantage to get into too clunky a board that requires specific tiles. There are no difficult hooks on this board at the moment. Maybe if he was creating something that he was confident that he knew and Elie didn't, and then he draws the tile later on, that's fine. But right now, he wasn't keeping the R for remail, he wasn't keeping the T or the S for underneath the ES. It feels like he was shooting himself in the foot a little bit. I know, okay, maybe he doesn't want his scoring to stop by playing email, but I'd rather score 90 next move and score 12 this move and give myself a strong chance of outpowering my opponent than get into this kind of clunky situation. Because again, if he was playing more positively, where would we be now? Elie had the clunky Q. He was only going to get rid of it onto the eye of Sarnies, leaving the R and the S floating for his pickups.
And
if you got, if Austin, backs himself to have the better word knowledge, you're going to want to create a board that allows more possibilities of words to be played and have a more open space. And that way you can just kind of, overpower Elie with word knowledge that way. It's kind of the way that, say, like a Dave Wiegand plays, where he'll just play pretty openly because he knows all the words. And so he'll just, he's obviously a brilliant tactician, but his strength is just, he's going to come at you with the whole book and overpower you.
Yeah. In this case, I mean, Austin's now, he's got HI set up to make Highlight and QI, which just helps to restrict the board even more. It's actually a move that is simming reasonably well. It's simming about 4th at the moment, but it's much of a muchness. I mean, the clear leader on about 1,500 iterations at 4 ply is FOHN from N2 down. I guess because you've got the Y to go onto the end of the AN that you're creating. It's also the highest score on a board that is rapidly getting nasty. It does create the fork, of course. It puts the UH there as well. So if you get one, your opponent gets the other. But yeah, the highlight sort of going along with the theme early on in this game of keeping it tight.
Yes.
So Elie has a classic horrible rack, very similar actually to David Aildar's opening rack of the last game, where he needed a floating T for Latina. What Austin has done by creating that, putting the H there, is he's given a higher score to just play. Oh, he's played Lou. Interesting.
That gives him the A.
That's bold. That's bold.
Yeah.
And it paid off. Like Austin does not have the A.
Austin now has a clunky rack on a a not pleasant board.
You can play something like
Yeah,
Dobbin
Foyne,
over.
I mean, he has
Foyne.
Foyne lined
Yeah.
up, which will go in row 5 for a decent score. And the next few moves after Foyne is probably going to start developing the left-hand side of the board through that and go down, and then the board will curl around in that way over the over the course of the game. So the early game log jam
Although now
would be
he's-
broken open
Yeah.
by a play like Foyne.
Although now he's got Fed
Well,
lined up on his rack.
Another option to continue the logjam misery is to play Dev at
Yes.
E5, which is pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
you're keeping decent scoring tiles on this nightmare of a board.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Um,
keep
yeah.
you keep YO for at L4.
Yeah,
And start just restricting everything and dinking stuff up.
and we can be pretty certain that Ellie's going to play G next move because it's the obvious play.
Oh yes, right up at the top. So it looks
Yeah,
like the
it's-
scoring never stops, but in this case, the log jamming seems like it's never going to stop, or at least not for the moment.
He's looking at playing Envoy.
Envoy.
I think maybe he's deciding that, quite rightly, that it's at his advantage to open. But if he does play Envoy, then he's setting up the J as well down there for a slightly safer option for Elie.
Yeah, I don't know. I think after Lou, I would be too
Worried about
distressed
the
by the
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
that I would absolutely play
Yeah.
something in row 5 here.
Yeah.
Whether it's long or short, it's probably one of the flaws in my game that I would play short. Probably the longer play is better.
Envoy Sims
And
about 5 points behind Dev, so
mhm.
you would have to say that's an error at this stage. I think certainly if you're going to start off in a defensive mode, you need to keep it up, or at least open when you have something meaningful to open with. I mean, FED on this board is not going to do a great deal unless he plays across the top of Lou.
And you may as well play across the top of Lou first and not give Elie a
Exactly.
shot to hit a 100-point bingo.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and in a sense, a lot of times when you adopt a strategy, you sort of have to stick to it all the way through.
Mhm. You have to be consistent.
Yeah, if you go half measure on something,
Yeah,
you just end up accomplishing neither of your objectives.
absolutely. You could say it was half-arsed, or indeed few-arsed.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. I mean, Ellie's playing down from L1, but I would say clearly the better play is to play down from Envoy.
Right,
Mhm.
because
You're not automatically giving it away. And actually, would you play Jane? Would you just play JA down from Envoy? I mean,
Yeah.
right. It's a
Yeah,
really
yeah,
nice,
actually,
really beautiful
Jay,
leave.
Yeah.
why would you give away an easy counterplay to your opponent?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the things about those the power tiles on like the L1 square. It scores really well to put them there, but they're a lot less valuable a lot of the time because your opponent gets such an easy comeback.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have to look, this score's 40, but it's going to increase my opponent's score by 15, 20 points over what they would normally get. So it's not actually worth 40.
And,
Yes.
And actually, if you look at how the board has now changed, we're now in a situation where Austin holds the only Lou hook. He holds the S for the hook on Envoy. So
Yes.
that one move by Elie has all of a sudden destroyed any
Yeah.
control that he has over this board and given everything to Austin.
Although he does have Z-back it's also volatile. He has Z-back off of Envoy on the right side of
On the
Envoy.
right side of Envoy, throwing the C in the
Yeah,
triple
trying to see in
lane.
the triple lane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And-
that's probably a pretty good play.
yeah,
Mhm.
I would say so.
It's almost it's
I mean, it leaves a huge. The thing is, though, it leaves a huge score, a huge reply down the other
Yes.
side of Envoy, which will also take out the C. So it'd be very, very easy to just recontrol that part of the board. Now, as we know with Austin's rack, you would expect a reply of something like Wadi, unless he just plays EX. But you see that now he's just clunking up his rack again. I mean, he's kept a horrible selection here.
Yeah. The CGB is such terrible synergy. He's gonna spend another turn doing triage on this rack. I think he can think about.
This is certainly something worth looking at for people who are watching at home, who may be up and coming players. Is the tendency is to think short when you have big tiles. It's to play off ZO, ZA, etc., etc. But do take the time to think long. For example, Joshua Castellano in the youth championships. I was looking over his shoulder, and he played a beautiful Shih Tzu to start one of his games, which I hadn't actually seen. I just completely failed to look because I was looking short. And I think in this case, had Elie... I mean, Elie must know Zebek.
Yes.
It's clearly the superior play.
It is sometimes... That is a combination that is sometimes hard to see on the rack.
Yeah.
What is Austin looking at? Wade here? Or maybe just
Wadi. I mean, with one of the two remaining S's,
right?
Do you get? I'd be a little bit loath to get rid of the A for the Alu hook.
Right.
But scoring has to continue.
Yes.
So
because it never stops.
No. Sim is currently showing that Wad and Wade, all down the side of Envoy, are vying for top place.
Wade seems a little enthusiastic, given that it takes the E hook.
Yeah, well, there are 5 E's on scene from Austin's point of view. I mean, Wad, you risk setting up a big play, hooking it with the Z maybe. Or but I think it's a decent play.
Yeah.
Wad is simulating up there. It's just down from Wadi.
Yeah. It's. And if something does go down underneath Wad, then it'll open up row 15.
Ellie's very quickly played Begot, which looks pretty sound to me.
And
it's the best score possible by far. CR is a good keep.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we have to...
Yep, and now the scoring shall continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, the scoring shall continue.
Down goes Horsier.
Yes.
No problem.
That slots the H2, doesn't it?
It does
not quite.
Slot the H.
But it scores 93, so I think he won't be too fast.
Yeah.
Elie, in the meantime, has got Trockle.
Ooh.
Which
if he can keep it on his own.
Play.
Except he's Rocklet.
So Horsier played, as we would expect, fairly quickly. Clearly the best move. Scores a lot.
So in the other matches going on, we saw David Eldar won the first against Nigel. He's currently ahead in the second one, 143 to 116. Gautam won the first of his quarterfinal matches against Neil. And currently Neil has a slight lead, 270 to 249.
Trockle incidentally isn't a word. Trock, of course, should be the play, but Austin now has Purslane up in the top of the board, which will not get blocked.
Yes, Trock isn't it?
Trock has to be the play, though.
Trock has to be the play.
That's the standout.
And Harshan won his first match against Mark Nyman, and in the early stages of the second game, he leads 136 to 91. Or maybe it's the late stages of their game. It's really hard to tell.
So it's interesting. I mean, another option other than Trock is to play relock. Now, from Ellie's point of view, that may look a bit too risky, but actually, in the context of what's about to happen, he should probably play it. But he's going to play Trock. I think it's a sound play.
Yeah.
65.
Yeah.
Puts him 50 behind, but there's not a lot you can do about what's about to happen. Purslane, the only bingo.
Yeah.
Lined up and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Austin
Yep.
scratches his chin, looks at the ceiling, scrunches his face as if he were considering whether or not to play the bonus.
He's just wishing at this point he had a beard and could look totally disinterested. Oh, he's challenged. He's challenged Trock. Ellie's showing him a picture of him and the Queen, and now he's done the adjudication.
Yeah.
So 5. So an extra
There we go.
5.
I understand that when Nigel does adjudication like that, he just shows people a picture of himself and says, "This is me," and everybody just agrees that it's a word. He also has a team of lexicographers that follow him around, and if he actually plays a phony, they put it into the dictionary just as they're walking up to the computer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, that's right up there with Nigel's legendary endgame solving with 86 in the bag.
Okay, well, I would have thought Purslane would have gone down fairly quickly now.
Perhaps he's just checking to see if there might be anything a little bit more, a little bit better, just as far as bonuses, but there are none. Yeah, it's gone down.
Yeah. Outscores anything else by 40 points.
Yep.
So.
Interestingly enough, that Alu hook for the double-double lane is still there.
Yeah.
And both blanks are still out.
Yeah, that could be telling. I mean, Austin has a 114-point lead, but the board is really clunky actually for comebacks. You'd think now as long as Austin prioritises playing, I don't know, down onto the O of Trock or across the top of Lou, the game's pretty much over. There is nothing that's not face value in position. Maybe through the T.
Yeah, and one would think that Elie has basically one chance to hit hit E column for 100 and something points and come back, because that's probably
Well, he is one letter off executory. With one R unseen, so you have to wonder if he would. One R unseen from his point of view.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the stage of the game where Elie does need to be thinking about that EX play as well. In my final game against David Eldar, which whoever won would go through to the top 8, I was having to fish for 10s through ION because the board was so horrendous. But there's always a possibility. And you see, cutlery is... I don't know, he's burning tiles. He's burning good tiles. He's not scoring a great deal.
I think he's just trying to go for one of the blanks.
Maybe, but what's he going to do with it?
Yeah,
So Austin plays off the T now, and what happens? The board is dead.
Maybe if Elie had played YU above Begot to, it sets up a lane down O column, it gets rid of your terrible tiles. And it only plays 2, so it makes the game longer, gives you a better shot to come back. Something like that might be.
I guess realistically, maybe Elie it could be focused on the EX that I mentioned, but
well. Okay.
So at this point, I mean, I would probably be thinking. I mean, Austin's situation, he's 84 up. I mean, the obvious play if scores were equal would be to play something like Wud across the top of Begot. There's only a couple of E's out. You've got a really good keep left.
Austin played
The
Voodoo through the U in
Yeah.
Cutlery, which
Which is
Yeah.
pretty much achieving what I was saying
Yeah.
about a playthrough there will destroy the board more or less.
So yeah, he's disrupted E column. He's disrupted the row 11 through the T and the row 10 through the U.
Voodoo is simming 5% win. Well, 3% win less than Wood. I guess Quackle prefers the aggression. And actually, Austin hasn't frustrated the L.
Right.
But he does now have exertion at least off the EX. Elie showing us all that he knows Adispota.
Tapadero.
Tapadero.
Yeah, there's 8s, but not with any of the tiles that are available.
Looking at Ellie's rack, the first thing that comes to mind is Pedo. So I'd be looking at 1A here.
And
gives him a good.
if you're behind 100 in a game like this, it becomes difficult because you can't really groom your rack and not score because you quickly get to the point where a bonus won't help you.
Absolutely.
So you have to sometimes sacrifice playing more tiles and sometimes sacrifice your leave a little bit in order to keep scoring just so that a bonus will help. If you're down 120, you need 2 bonuses.
Absolutely.
And staying within 1 bonus is very important. It's a thing that a lot of sort of intermediate players, they fall behind. They're like, I need the bonus to catch up. And they're so focused on that they don't take the bigger picture. If you're behind 100, 120, 140, just fishing
playing
off
for 10 points is not going to help, especially if your opponent is scoring 20 or 30 each turn. And because then you're just going to fall that much further behind.
Yeah, and playing with a lead, if you keep the scoring pressure on, that means that either your opponent gets into a situation where the bonus doesn't help them, or they are hastening the end of the game by playing more tiles to score to stay in range.
Yeah, and Austin's got the exertion lined up on his rack. He's just very
exertion.
Cool customer.
The sim is jumping around all over the place in terms of the favoured plays. Leading for a long time was just Tap through the T of Cutlery. It's now been overtaken just by Pay in the bottom left-hand corner. Before that, Paco through the C of Cutlery was leading. Elie obviously now has the only remaining A's to go on the front of Lou, but obviously the blanks are out. It probably won't be that useful thanks to Austin's Voodoo.
Yeah, and Austin is about a 90% chance to win from this position according to Quackle. It's actually probably quite a bit higher than that, given that he's going to score 60 next turn. We're getting into the time where the win percentages are so low that the Quackle sim can be sorted by win percentage can be difficult.
And the bag actually is pretty rotten looking at what's left to come. So there's 1 E, 4 I's, an O, and then all the rest is consonants and the 2 blanks. So, I guess Elie might have there's obviously a hot spot for the Z in the bottom right-hand corner. Basically, Elie now needs 3 big scores on the trot.
Yes.
Whatever he plays now, he has to bingo. He either bingo's next move or plays the Z next move for 50. Pay in the bottom left is now showing as a 10% win.
I wonder what happens if you give Austin's actual rack.
Let's do that.
And then sim it, because that 10% is a bit generous considering what he actually has.
Yeah.
It may.
Is that working? No, it isn't doing it.
It may. You could probably switch it to 2 plies and it'll go a bit faster.
And
it's just going slowly.
Yeah. So just to let everyone know, putting in Austin's exact rack, Ellie's win percentages are going down with every single iteration. He's well down. He's going down below 8% now with pay.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me of my main event game against Wasim Khatri, where I was a 95% favourite to win on the final play. I didn't win.
We all have a lot of I didn't win stories, or else we'd be in there.
Yeah.
Also, just talking about the Zed a little bit, that upper left-hand corner, certainly if he can hit a 70 or 80 point play there and open up the left-hand column, that's also, I'm just seeing something like Piezo, where maybe he wants to keep and maybe play something like Day in the lower left-hand corner rather than. So
yeah, Diazo or Piezo, something to
something to
fish for there.
Simming with Austin's rack now has pay at a 5.8, 5.7. I think we may even get into negative win percentages.
Negative win percentages. Negative win percentages. What's that?
It's where you wish you hadn't sat down in the first place.
So wait, Elie has played Tapa.
Elie has played Tapa, which doesn't really achieve anything.
Well, it's DOT is not terrible. I guess there is. I mean, there is, but it's very there is the possibility of a 7-letter bonus on row 5 ending in ED.
Yeah.
But that should do it. Austin picking the blank. Ellie's picked a blank as well. But,
the Z is going to be useful.
Yes, but the Z is going to be very useful. Fizz in the lower right corner is, the scoring's not going to stop.
Yeah.
The scoring will continue on for one more session.
At least.
Well, Elie does now have doubted.
Yes. Which...
Yeah, so that should go.
He has to play it.
Yeah, row 5.
He's 125 down. This will put him within 50.
And there's
like how
if
many
he plays Fizz,
how many are in the bag?
5 in the bag.
5 in the bag. So it's
not like he's going to.
Oh, that's true.
He can't pull a miracle. He can't pull a miracle.
Yeah, there's going to be no 9-timer through doubted after Austin plays Fizz.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to put in Austin's rack to see if there's any opportunity at all. So what's he got? Fizz mid blank.
So it seems to be pretty much a formality from here on out. We kind of know how it's going to go down. Currently the game with Nigel and David Eldar is not yet finished, but David has a late game lead 4-3-4 to Nigel's 4-1-3. So that's another really close, tight game that if David holds on, then I guess we won't be seeing him in the third match. But if Nigel wins that, then we'll be broadcasting you their decider after this. Harshan is ahead 2-5-2 to 2-2-5. And he has a 6 vowels and an S at this stage of the game. And Gautam has taken a lead against Neil 3-3-3 to 3-1-1, and that game is still underway also. So all 3 of the other games are close. We specially selected this one for you.
Because we're awesome.
That's the way it falls.
Ellie's simulated win is now down to 1.7% if he plays doubted. He's not played doubted, so bold. Well, he probably likes the 7,000ths of a chance that he's got by playing bold.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe there's some merit in trying to bingo out, but
And
it's not going to be
wait,
useful after
Yeah.
the Z goes down. It's
Yeah.
not really going to matter.
yeah, and yeah,
And Fizz is pretty immediate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Game over.
That's
Yep.
that was at 52.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
in early situation that you have to play doubted, and you
Yeah.
have to
Well,
allow
you
for
have
the
to see doubted.
yeah. Well, this is, you would hope you would.
You would hope that
This
you
is the last
exactly,
date of the
yes.
World Scrabble Championship.
Yes.
But you would, in those kinds of situations, you actually have to allow for the human factor.
Yes.
Realistically, he wasn't going to win with his
Right.
opponent playing decently.
Mhm.
But there's always that opportunity, and we've all seen it where your opponent transposes 2 tiles.
Yeah.
Desperately has to go to the loo and never comes back. You need to drag the game out and
Just-
give your opponent the
yeah.
opportunity
Mhm.
to make a mistake.
Yeah.
I guess now Nidgets, L, Toes, and Soma.
Yes, Nidgets. Yeah.
I suppose if Elie were going to pass up the bingo there and try to play for like an out bingo, catching Austin with the Z, something, you'd want to make a play that set up a higher scoring lane.
You'd want a 9
Yes.
timer open.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. There wasn't really a 9-timer to open there though, but definitely
You'd have to play 5
you'd
tiles
have to play. Yeah.
and empty on the number, and then
and-
Austin will
yeah.
know what to block.
Yeah.
Maybe you can play 4 tiles, leave 1, open up a
Yeah.
hook onto
And-
column A.
Wait, what's he?
But as it fell between exertion
He's
going
playing
down and
single
Fizz,
to go out.
there was nothing really to do.
Yeah.
And Elie bingo's out
With Tingle.
to valiantly go down.
Yeah.
He picks up the 7 points off of
Yes.
Austin's rack. The clock has been neutralized. The game is finished.
Yes.
And congratulations to Austin Shin, whose scoring will continue for at
Scoring
least 3
will-
more games.
Yes.
This
And-
afternoon, he is the first one through to the semifinal.
And
Yeah.
credit to Elie, who won 5 games in a row to make it to this spot.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He had a fantastic run to get here. Little unfortunate in this game, but
Yeah.
still, and also for all that he does for international Scrabble.
Yeah, it was quite the run. Elie beat me in the last afternoon. I think I started his 5-game run. He scored 600 against me, so I'm glad to have done my part in making this happen. But yeah,
So it was interesting how the game finished up, considering how blocked it was, to then get thrown open. And
Yeah.
I think it shows, this kind of situation, just picking out the key tiles for the few openings there were. Purse Lane was probably the killing point, and only
Yeah.
underpinned by exertion.
Yeah.
yeah. There was danger for Austin.
Yeah.
It was completely possible that Elie could have drawn some 110-point double for
Yeah.
any of many turns.
Yeah.
So it was a bit. It was a bit lucky that he avoided that bullet.
So, do we have any updates on other games going on in progress?
I haven't gotten anything new in the last couple minutes. We're still waiting on the Nigel Eldar game, and I'll see if I can get any updates for you. I do believe we're going to have a chat with the players of this game in a moment. So we'll definitely get that for you and get an update on the games in progress.